Greetings, I'm Professor K, and in this short video presentation, we're going to see how we go about using the Event Viewer in Server 2016. And though the content of this video refers to Server 2016, everything that's in it can be applied to Server 2012 and Server 2019. So the first thing we have to do is bring up the Event Viewer. Now there's a number of different ways we can do this. But if you're just sitting at the desktop and you need to check out the event logs, the quickest way is just to go to the search bar next to your start button and type in event. And when you get the event viewer up, just double click it. Let's go ahead and make this full screen. Now you got to be patient. These event logs have to load, and if they're large, then it can take a little longer than normal. So go ahead and be patient with these event logs and give them time to appear. There's a caveat about this event viewer. First off, there is a lot of information being given to you, so you have to know where to go to find out what it is you're looking for. So if we look at the different log types, and there are a lot of them, these are my Active Directory logs down here. Normally I'm concerned with the Windows logs, and the first log file that I'm going to go into when I have an error, and this is where we should be looking when we have a error, whether it's critical or otherwise. If you need a place to start, if you need some information to get you going in the right direction, usually the Event Viewer is a great place to start. So when it comes to troubleshooting and I have a problem, the first thing I want to do is I want to see if anything has been sent over to the Event Viewer that can let me know exactly what it is that generated that error. Now that doesn't always happen. A lot of the stuff that we get up inside of the Event Viewer is very generic, but there's a lot of information that you can use to get you going so that you can find and resolve your critical issue. Now the first log file that we like to look at is usually the system. Give it a chance to load up here, and you'll see that there's a lot of informational messages in here, and you got to scroll through here. Now normally what I do, if I find a lot of error messages such as this one, what I'll do is I will clear out the Event Viewer. I clear out the Event Viewer, and then I'll restart the machine. And then I want to see those most recent events that are popping up inside of the Event Viewer. And that allows me to not get distracted, and I don't have to hunt and look around for these critical errors. So to clear out any event log, you just go to the event log that you want to clear out, just right click on it, and here you can just select Clear Log. It's going to ask you, do you want to save the log file or do you just want to clear it? We can just go ahead and clear it. I can restart the machine, and whatever service is having an issue on my server will again regenerate some brand new event logs that will allow me to pinpoint much easier than trying to search through a whole bunch of events and find actually what's going on. So I've rebooted my server, and Server Manager pops up, and this is another way that we can access the Event Viewer. I can just go to Tools over here, scroll on down till I come to the Event Viewer, and I can launch it this way as well. So I've just cleared out my system log, so I'm going to go ahead and expand that, and now I'm going to go back into it. Give it a chance to load up, and again we have a lot of informational messages here. And you can see by the date, and this is today's date, and you can go in here and you can look at the informational messages, the warnings, and you can see if you have any of those error messages currently present, and we do. So we can go ahead and we can just double click that error message. Now that's going to bring up some properties or some details about this error message, and what we're interested in is the event ID. But what I'm also interested in is this information right here. Now the Windows modulars or the Windows Modules installer service did not shut down properly after receiving a pre-shutdown control. Well, that's okay. That's not a major error that we're going to concern ourselves with. But if it happens again, we may want to troubleshoot that and investigate in a little bit more detail. What else we got in here? Now, the distributed COM, that's something that can give you a lot of grief. So what you want to do is look for that event ID. And you also want to look for some information up here. The specific permission settings do not grant local activation permission for the COM server application with the following SID. Well, that could be related to this other error message that we just looked at. So you see, as you go through here, you're going to find error messages that may be related, and you're going to find some that aren't. But you can use the event ID. You can go to Google, and you can search for this event ID and type in the version of the server that you're using. But that doesn't always give you what you need. You need to also think about copying something else in here, such as this. So if you take this little piece of information here that's present inside of the event log, in conjunction with the event ID, you're probably going to find that your results are going to be much more tailored to what it is you're troubleshooting. Now, anything you're going to find up inside of the event viewer has been seen by somebody else before. So there's a high probability that if you use this method for troubleshooting this particular error, you're going to have a lot of luck finding that information from that individual who solved the problem. Now, another thing we can do is we can use our task manager to help in identifying exactly what is the process and what is using that process that is causing the issue. So a lot of times you're going to have an issue with an application or a process that's running, and you need to identify by using the process ID that is currently assigned to that application or that process to find out specifically what it is. For that, you can go into the event properties and go into details. You can expand the system, and underneath here you scroll on down until you come to the process ID. Now here we don't have a process ID because I don't have much going on this virtual machine currently, so I don't have a lot of applications. But I could just go down here to my taskbar and open up Task Manager. And once I'm inside of Task Manager, I'm just going to click on More Details. And from here, I'm going to click on the tab that is marked Details. So if I have a process ID that is assigned to the event, then I can use my Task Manager to then go in and locate that particular process ID to see what application or what service or what thread it's currently being assigned to. And now that we have identified the service by using the process ID that was given to us inside of the event log, we can now right-click. We can now right-click on the process, scroll on down to go to service, and we can locate the actual service that is being used by this process. And now we see that the process ID is also given to us in here, and we can now do a better job of associating the event log with the application through the process ID and the service that is currently hosting that particular process. Now, the great thing about Event Viewer is that you can also connect to a different machine. For instance, if I go up here to Event Viewer, I can connect to another computer in my domain, and you'll see that the other computer can be found either by me typing in the name of the computer, or I can browse. And if I'm already logged on as administrator, that should be good enough. But I can type in the name of that computer, check names, and I should be able to connect to that computer's event log. So that's an easier way for you to be able to track your servers. If you have a server pool, you can use one machine, sit there and pull up those other event logs from those machines one at a time. Now, how do I handle my event logs? Well, the way I do it is when I have free time, and let's just say that I'm sitting in a server room and I got nothing else to do, and let's say it's 4 o'clock in the afternoon, I'm getting ready to go home, I like to pop up the event viewer and see if there's anything going on that I need to be aware of, because using the event viewer in this fashion allows me to get a heads up, and I can be alerted to possible pending disasters that are coming my way. For instance, if my hard drives are thrashing, or I have problems with corruption inside of a database or an application, well, the event viewer is probably going to give me a warning. And if I ignore that warning long enough, then I'm going to be faced sooner or later with a possible catastrophe or a catastrophic failure. So that's why we need to go into the event logs from time to time during the week and make sure that we're staying active in doing our due diligence to ensure that we don't have that catastrophic failure. Another event log we need to concern ourselves with is security. In here you can see that you have a lot of events being generated, and they're being generated constantly inside of here. So don't get overwhelmed with people logging in, logging off, attempts being made to access something. A lot of this stuff is just informational. Now, if you have a problem and you believe that your server is being attacked or it's being hacked, then you really have to know what event ID to look for. And there's a whole bunch of them. And for that, you're going to have to do your research up on the internet, and particularly with the Microsoft TechNet site, to find out exactly what events inside of the security log you should be concerned with and which ones you can ignore. You also have to remember that every service has an account, and every time that service is starting up and it needs to run a process, then you're going to be generating these security log files. And those are the ones that can confuse you, because you're going to see multiple attempts or multiple logons with the same process ID. And you're going to start thinking, oh, I've got something going on here with a piece of malware or something. Probably not the case, but it could be. So again, you got to do your due diligence and get up inside of there and investigate. And so that's going to conclude this short video presentation on our overview for the event viewer in Server 2016. But remember that this information also applies to Server 2012 and Server 2019. So if you have any questions or you have any concerns about any of the information that was given to you in this short video, please do not hesitate to reach out and contact your instructor, and I'll see you in my next video.